Hoje, ainda estamos lutando no nosso continente contra o fato de que por muitos anos, por mais de um século, nós nos demos as costas. Cada um ficou voltado para o seu lado. E nós nos descobrimos recentemente e, curiosamente, a integração no âmbito do Mercosul foi viabilizada no momento em que se resolveu o último contencioso essencial entre o Brasil e a Argentina, que foi o contencioso sobre a utilização dos rios sucessivos da Bacia do Prata. Foi um tratado tripartite que abrangiu o Paraguai, que permitiu, ou que viabilizou, assim, politicamente, a construção de Itaipu, de Jaceretá e a criação de mecanismos que quando o corpus for construída, e isso representou o último contencioso essencial entre os dois países, que foi resolvido em 79. A partir daí, há uma aproximação crescente entre Brasil e Argentina e, pendurado nela, a adesão de outros países, seja como membros integrais do Mercosul, no caso de Paraguai e Uruguai, seja como membros associados, no caso do Chile e da Bolívia. E agora com a questão da integração, da participação da Venezuela no Mercosul, mas aí a participação já se dá no Mercosul mais em crise, no Mercosul que está tentando novamente buscar uma sua vocação funcional. Bom, eram essas as reflexões que eu me senti compelido a fazer à luz das inteligentes apresentações dos apresentadores, do Wackenberg, da Francine Jacome e do Paulo Esteves. E com isso, eu mais uma vez agradeço aí a atenção que foi dispensada e creio que na segunda parte passaremos para perguntas e debates com a assistência. Muito obrigado.
Bom, então agora nós vamos passar para a fase de perguntas. E aí eu peço para que aqueles que quiserem perguntar se identifiquem, certo? Nome, instituição, universidade que pertence, esse tipo de coisa. Então está aberto, certo? Professor, please.
Thank you. My name is Bruce Bagley. I'm from the University of Miami. I have three related and hopefully short questions. I begin with the notion that the ambassador just highlighted in his talk, that the open liberal system that John Eikenberry talked about was liberal from the perspective of the developed countries, but it wasn't so liberal from the perspective of the developing countries. It specifically did not take up, either in GATT or in the WTO, the issues of primary products and agricultural goods. And indeed, I would suggest that the crisis that is being faced in trade in the hemisphere, the initiative from Ronald Reagan on for the free trade area of the Americas, as well as the Doha round of the WTO negotiations, has to do with the impasse over agricultural subsidies, agricultural goods, and primary products. So the open system wasn't so open, and that very open system is very much in crisis. I was wondering if John agreed with that. That leads me to my second point. And my second point is that the emergence of these various regional groupings, such as Mercosur, prior to that, and the impact, or the Comunidad de Naciones, ALBA now, are all efforts to gain leverage within a system which many countries in the developing world do not consider to be open, do not consider to be as benign as John was painting earlier on. If you accept that premise, then it seems to me that you have two competing, as was said by the panel, two competing projects in the region. One is UNASUR, which is liberal in nature, that seeks a degree of autonomy for the countries, right, and a greater bargaining leverage, but it's very much compatible with the continuation of a liberal system modified, right, through the addition of new players, new regional and global actors to the system. Whereas ALBA represents a rejection of that open system. and it should be understood in that fashion. It is, and here I think I disagree with Pablo. I think there is a coherence to the project that Chavez puts forward. You may not like the way he presents it, you may not like his erratic behavior, but he has been consistently anti-hegemonic, anti-imperialist, consistently anti-market, and at very least undemocratic, or one could argue anti-democratic. Those are the three bases of the project that has been put forward. In this context, I don't think it's appropriate to compare the current form of caudillismo with past periods of populism. I think the world has changed, these countries have changed, and the nature of their ideology has changed. But even more important, I think that there has been an underestimation of the sustainability of the project. Not because Venezuela with its oil, or Ecuador, right, with its shrimp, or Bolivia with its, tin, are particularly strong economies, but because they have opened the door to something that hasn't been mentioned here very much at all. Opened the door to extra-hemispheric powers, specifically China, Russia, and Iran, that have begun to invest, especially China, but to some extent the others, begun to invest and or to sell everything from equipment to arms, and to exploit the natural resources of the region. China has given a facility of $20 billion to Venezuela. It's invested more money in Ecuador than any other country in the region, either regional or beyond. In that sense, it should not, the ALBA country projects should not be judged solely on their own merits, but rather in the context of the international system, which has been transformed, and the Western Hemisphere, where new players have entered, I think, in very firm ways that are not going to disappear anytime soon. They're also present. China is present in Brazil, but their major presence and their real impact is in the countries of ALBA so far. Of course, the Brazilian market is desirable, but to sustain the ALBA project, it's not enough to have the ALBA countries, it's necessary to have extra hemispheric powers. So my final question and point, right, it's both. Is the Brazil project, UNASUR, Mercosur, and expanded CELAC and all the rest, is that compatible with the ALBA project backed by China, Russia, and Iran? Or is confrontation between Brazil and Venezuela, between UNASUR and ALBA, ultimately inevitable? Thanks.
ALBA is definitely critical of the liberal of the liberal trends, and as a matter of fact, I recently found a document written in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs where there is direct criticism to the Brazilian government for this reason, because they feel that UNASUR is being built on the liberal trend, and that's not what ALBA wants. ALBA believes in internal integration in order to face and the formation of an internal market with the ALBA countries. Of course, the opening door to China, Iran, and Russia is directly in course with the idea, with the Venezuelan foreign policy idea of a multipolar system. What I do think is very important, I don't know if President Chavez has realized this, is that Iran, China, and Russia are here for business, for commercial reasons, for business. They are not buying his political ideological rhetoric, and I don't think that in a moment of more tension between UNASUR and ALBA, I don't think that none of these three countries are going to get involved. I mean, they're here just for purely commercial reasons. And I think the other important point that has to be made is, number one, I think that we have to really look at the sustainability of ALBA. I don't think Russia, China, or Iran are backing ALBA as such. What they want is to open the markets, to open business. So if ALBA starts confronting problems, I don't think that they're going to get involved in that. So I think that what has to be discussed is whether ALBA is really sustainable. I think that is the main issue. And I think especially now because this is a personal observation. I think that Chavez's regional leadership is weakening. I think that that it's weakening, and I even think that Chavez's leadership within ALBA is weakening. We've seen the English-speaking Caribbean countries often do not agree with certain things, especially when it has to do with security and defense. I think in some ways the Ecuadorian government is also distancing itself from Venezuela, and a very important indicator was the tensions between Costa Rica and Nicaragua. And during the OAS meeting, Venezuela was the only country that backed Nicaragua. None of the other ALBA countries backed it. So I think that that we have to look at that.